Well, that was quite fucked up, actually. Like, True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition. Chapter 4, The Monster in the University Hospital. Great, scary stories. This is Halloween. A recent student relates his shocking experience in Tokyo's most prestigious hospital. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at the hospital around the end of last spring. It began with patients waking up in the middle of the night, screaming. They all spoke of terrifying nightmares. Many of them had to be sedated. Some patients even transferred to other hospitals because of it. The weird thing was that they all had the exact same dream. Dream about a horribly disgusting monster staring down at them from their bedside. But the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of strange cats around campus looking for scraps for the students. One day the cat suddenly disappeared. It wasn't that they'd stopped coming, it was more like they'd vanished from the area entirely. And then people stopped walking their dogs around. According to rumors, the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Did she eat the cats? Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Transplant organs keep disappearing from storage. Some people came close to losing their jobs over it. That was just 2 or 3 times that happened. They tried to keep it from the research students, but we heard that it was a lot worse than that. Oops, right-clicked. People started saying that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange meshes that could only be made in the middle of the night, traces of something that had crawled down the hallway or made weird stains that seemed to be caused by something dripping through the ceiling. The late night shift nurses talked about hearing strange noises on the same nights that patients woke screaming. There's one last story, one you can never mention inside the hospital. One day, the obstetricians Obstetrics is a field of study concentrated on pregnancy, childbirth. Okay. Thanks, Google. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the night. She ate a baby. If that were true, the police would have come and it would have been all over the news, but they say the big shops managed to make it all go away. It's just a rumor, of course. These strange incidents suddenly stopped towards the end of summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares. The cats have started coming back to campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now just thinking about it gives me the creeps. Dial tone. Nothing. It's the 3rd day in a row that they haven't been able to get in touch with Omi. There's no sign that she returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Parents have already filed a missing persons report. Well, I know. She'll probably just pop up somewhere like nothing happened. I hope so. Yo replies. With a gloomy expression, she's worried about Omi, of course, but the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her mind as well. Yo hasn't seen Fuminori since then. Fuminori hasn't made any efforts to approach her or Koji. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2. Hey Koji, let's keep thinking. Isn't there somewhere Omi might have gone? No, Koji answers evasively. I've already checked everywhere. It's a lie, of course. Komi knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Their awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell signaling the start of the next period. Well, I've got to go. Koji isn't mistaken. Yo is supposed to have a class next period too. She just sits there staring off into space. Unable to come up with anything to say, he leaves the cafeteria reluctantly. Words are hard. Both Omi's disappearance and Yo's depression worry Koji. Both problems lead back to the exact same place. What the hell is Fuminori doing? When Omi went missing, the first thing he did was question Fuminori. After all, the last time he had seen her was just before she stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind. Fuminori responded with unequivocal denial and acted like he hadn't the slightest idea why Omi would have gone to see him. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Koji had witnessed him reduce Yo to tears. Did Omi even make it to Fuminori's house? She'd been riding a wave of emotion when she left. She might have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Perhaps she ran into trouble on the way. Koji concluded, or more accurately convinced himself, one of these possibilities was truth. Subconsciously denying the one remaining possibility that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi and was involved in her disappearance. Doom, doom, doom. When questioned by the police, Koji told the truth about Omi's destination up until the train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, but Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. Fuminori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he had told the police everything they needed to know. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. The conflict has built up inside of him without his notice, leaving unanswered suspicion to fester in his mind. Koji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings. But perhaps this is what allows him to catch sight of his friend's back through the crowd of milling students. Fuminori. At first, Koji assumes that he's headed to the lecture hall. Soon it appears that he is instead going home. Strange. Medical students have required course in the afternoon. Though he is initially surprised, Koji's hesitation lasts for a second. Or only a second. He follows his friend, taking care to stay far behind, that he won't be noticed. Fuminori wasn't going home, as became obvious when he boarded a train heading in the opposite direction. Koji's next guess was that he was going to see a doctor at the T University Hospital. Fuminori rode straight through the closest station. Where is he going? First, Koji felt ashamed for telling his friend like this, but his conscience fell silent as Fuminori's actions grew more mysterious. The stranger it gets, the closer Koji feels to discovering the truth. Behind Fuminori's sudden transformation, any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Koji is beginning to think there must be something more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether Fuminori can still be trusted. Fuminori gets off at a small station in a nondescript suburb of Tokyo. Koji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amid the other disembarking passengers. The area is quite desolate, with only a small bookstore, convenience store, and a market in front of the train station. It's easy for Koji to keep Fuminori in view. Its neighborhood was carved out of the Fuji foothills, and here and there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escape a simulation. Words! Koji is amazed that such a quiet place exists less than an hour out of central Tokyo. Fuminori seems to know these streets. He moves quickly and purposely through the suburban community, his eyes fixed straight ahead. Before long, Fuminori reaches the house. Without ringing the bell or even knocking, he opens the door and vanishes inside, leaving Koji to wonder how Fuminori can treat the house as his own. When he sees if Fuminori comes back out, Koji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. Ogai, it reads. Koji has never heard of anyone by that name among Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot. This, coupled by the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it's been abandoned for some time. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch the front of the Ogai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rare exit. Jump out a window. Koji settles down on a bench to begin a stakeout. Should have brought some smokes. 1 hour passes and then another, but there remains no sign of movement around the Ogai residence. Soon twilight settles upon the neighborhood. After Koji's 1 pack of cigarettes runs out, the stakeout becomes a battle against mounting impatience. He kills time by redialing Omni on his cell phone and sending out short text messages, but his efforts are futile, as he knew they would be. When the sky begins to turn a deep blue and the streetlights come on, Fuminori finally emerges from the house and heads back towards the station with the same hurried stride. After some brief consideration, Koji decides that right now, investigating the house is more important than trailing Fuminori. He rings the doorbell just to make sure. After receiving the expected silence in response, he checks to make sure no one is watching and turns the doorknob. The door is not locked. The moment he enters the house, stale air thick with mold and dust fills Koji's nostrils. It's the unmistakable smell of a house that has long lain untouched. There was also a faint hint of something else in the air. something remnant of damp sewers and fetid cisterns. Flipping the light switch does nothing, the power must be cut off. Koji uses a cigarette lighter to illuminate the immediate area. In the thick dust covering the floor, he sees several brand new trails of footprints that could have been made by shoes. Fuminori's. Koji decides to follow suit and dispense with courtesy. He enters with his shoes on. And footprint noises. The light's flickering flames pushes back the deathly silence and gloom of the house. Koji is surprised to see evidence of life remaining, everything from furniture to tableware and appliances. Nothing seems to be missing. The thickness of the dust suggests that the house has been empty for several months, which means that the owner must have left with little more than the clothes on his back. Could he have gone on a long vacation? The calendar in the den is still turned to April. Empty and silent, yet still exhibiting signs of the life that once lived here. There. The house reminds Koji of a passenger ship, entombed at the bottom of the sea. In the graveyard-like quiet, a sinister thought suddenly enters his mind. No one is living here. That does not mean that the owner left. Maybe he was murdered, and his rotting corpse is right under Koji's feet. He finds out wanting a stronger light. A flashlight in his hand would make him feel much better. Koji follows Fuminori's footsteps to the second floor, where he begins to catch scent of paper in the stale air. It is a smell of old books, instantly recognizable to anyone who has worked in an antique bookstore or library. First room on the second floor turns out to be a study. Its towering shelves packed with such a vast number of books that Koji fears for the stability of the floor. The medical student himself is able to discern at a glance the study belongs to a medical professional, and a high level one at that. I'm a level 73 medical professional. Judging by the content of the books, a smorgasbord of technical volumes far beyond a simple student's understanding, the owner's interests lie more with medical research than with clinical practice. Fuminori must have spent most of his time here. Scattered dust suggests they were searching for something. The contents of the desk drawers are in obvious disarray. A small pile of books stacked on the side table catches his eyes. Being next to the desk, they must have been most frequently read. The nature could shed some light on the character of the person who worked there. Koji frowns as he examines the 3 books. These aren't scientific texts like the rest, but old, leather-bound Western tomes like the sort you would find in a rare bookstore. The titles are meaningless to him. Traité Chiferus appears to concern semiotics, but Ars Magna et Ultima, some kind of treatise on divination. And then there's Vonyik manuscript, which looks like the sort of picture book. So, when he pages through it, he finds text utterly incomprehensible. Maybe it's some kind of cipher. Whatever they are, they clearly have nothing to do with medicine. Viewing Koji's earlier guess that this old guy was a doctor. Looking down, Koji suddenly notices the glint of something black and metallic under the chair. Pocket-sized flashlight, quite out of place among all these dusty books. Fuminori must have brought it in. With relief, Koji exchanges his lighter for the flashlight. Its tiny body emits a powerful white beam that casts away the darkness. His courage restored, he decides to explore the rest of the house. Koji notices something strange, something that was not visible in the light as weak flame. The slime. Dark, oily, this fucking music. The stains are thick, especially thick around the doorknobs and stair banisters, like someone grasped them, hands wrapped in greasy cloth. Looking closely, he sees places where the slime was splashed low on the walls, almost as if a wet mop was run violently across the floor. Could a guy have made these marks? If so, how? Koji begins to feel sick as he imagines a man shambling through the house with slime dripping from his body. Finding the bedroom next to the study, Koji checks the closet on a hunch. He shoves 2 empty suitcases, not what one would leave behind when going on a long vacation. A sudden chill runs through him. Whoever was living here is still somewhere inside the house. Suppressing the urge to flee, Koji goes back downstairs to check the first floor. If he finds a corpse, he'll have to call police right away. He might get away with trespassing if he reports it first, but find the body later. It'll be awfully hard to explain his fingerprints all over the house. The flashlight reveals the den to be covered in even more slime than the rest of the house. The sofa looks as though it was dredged from the bottom of a swamp. Wow. It's a rude way to say someone has bad fucking furniture choices. In the kitchen, Koji takes one look at the sink and decides not to get any closer. doesn't want any more fuel for his imagination. He reaches the door to the bathroom. Common scene from TV dramas flashes through his head. A body with slit wrists floating in a bathtub full of water. Wasn't there a movie where a hitman disposes of his victims in a bathtub full of lye? Koji braces himself for the worst and opens the door slowly, then shines his light in the ceramic bathtub that appears from the darkness like a white ghost. Oh dear God. I don't want to go next. But, well, I guess we have to. Oh, bones. So many bones. Bones black with dry flesh and blood. Koji puts one hand against the wall to steady himself as his legs threaten to buckle. Something is wrong. He realizes as he tries desperately to get his thoughts clear. In order, the bones are too small. There are far too many of them. They aren't human. After taking several deep breaths to calm himself, Koji enters the bathroom and examines the tub. The bones are piled on top of each other like fallen leaves. They appear to be from small animals, perhaps cats or dogs. Even so, the quantity is mind-boggling. How many bodies would it take to produce this many bones? Those have all been separated from one another, so it doesn't look like bodies were just thrown into the tub and left to rot. Each bone is covered with deep grooves, marks left by teeth biting through flesh. Koji's sanity won't let him consider the possibility that a human could have done this. The owner of this house must have kept some sort of carnivorous animal in his pit, giving it the bones of small animals to eat and disposing of the remains in the bathtub. Why not dispose of the leftovers properly? They could have just been thrown out with the garbage, or was there something keeping them from leaving the house? The relief Koji felt when he realized that the bones weren't humans is once again under attack. In the first place, what the hell was Fuminori doing here? Oh God! What's wrong, Koji? Nani?